On behalf of Hariani School of Law, I would like to extend a warm welcome to our dignitary for today, Senior Solicitor Mr. Ameet Hariani. I would now request the dignitaries to kindly light the inaugural lamp and commence the event on an auspicious note. I would now request our director ma'am to give the welcome address.
Mr. Ameet Hariani, my colleagues and dear students, a very good morning to all of you. Legal profession is a very flourishing career option and it is socially rewarding too. But often not, most of the law students are not even aware of the career opportunities available to them after completing their LLB course. This morning, you will be pleasantly surprised and astonished to know the untrodden paths that you can traverse while embarking on your professional life. We have a person of great repute with us this morning, Mr. Ameet Hariani. He is going to give you a kaleidoscope view of the career choices that you can make once you leave the portals of this great institution. With these words, I extend a huge and a warm welcome to our dignitary, Mr. Ameet Hariani.
I now request Nilima ma'am to please felicitate the dignitary.
Okay, let's start the introduction.
I now call upon Prerna to introduce our guest. Mr. Ameet Hariani has over 35 years of experience advising clients on corporate and commercial law, mergers and acquisitions, real estate finance transactions. He has represented large organizations in international transactions, arbitrations, and prominent litigations. He practices as a senior solicitor, strategy advisor, arbitrator, and mediator, and an independent non-executive director with reputed groups. He was a partner at Ambubai and Divanji, Mumbai, and Anderson Legal India, Mumbai. He was the founder and managing partner of Hariani and Co. since the year 1991. He recently stepped down from Hariani and Co. in April 2022. He holds a Bachelor of Law degree from GLC Mumbai and a Master's in Law degree from University of Mumbai. He is a solicitor enrolled with Bombay Incorporated Law Society and Law Society of England and Wales. He is also a member of Law Society of Singapore, the Bar Council of Maharashtra, and the Bombay Bar Association. Mr. Hariani is a speaker at many events. He also writes frequently. Mr. Hariani is a truster, inter alia of Healing Touch, an organization for assisting children with health issues, run by Dr. Mahesh Balsekar and Dr. Firoz Sonawala, two prominent doctors of Mumbai. We welcome you, sir. I would now request our dignitary, Mr. Ameet Hariani, to address our students.
Are you thinking that this speaking here, right? Okay. Yeah. Hi, good morning. So it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm going to make this an interactive session. So, as part of what I'm going to talk, I'm going to ask questions. So it's going to be a 45. So can you hear me better now? Yes. Okay, so out of this 45-minute session that I'm going to talk, I'm going to ask 2 questions. And then last 15 minutes, you all are going to ask me questions. Fair? Okay. I just want to know, first of all, which year of law out of the 5-year course, you're in the first year, second year, third year, which year? First year. Okay. And how many of you saw the World Cup match last night? Yeah. And who was the best player? Oh, come on. I come up. Mbappe. Who else? Anyone else? Oh, that's the general thing. Only from France, is it? There was also movement. Absolutely. Good. And how many of you saw the earlier semi-final, Argentina versus Croatia? Good. I didn't see that, but I'm glad. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say is everyone is smiling and everyone is very, very enthused about the World Cup. And we are all looking forward to Sunday. The point is that when you go out into the world, you have to be as enthused about your career. That's the key of success for any person in this world. Okay? I'll now ask you another set of questions. Why are you guys doing law? Each person has a different reason to do law. Okay? I'm going to pick at random and I'm going to ask people if you'd like to share, please do. If you are feeling self-conscious, say, sorry, I don't want to answer, that's also fine. Okay? So, the gentleman there. Yes.
Okay. See, more than 35 years, I am into the finance sector.
Okay.
So I am seeking the now extra exposure and one kind of backup plan as a legal profession. So definitely, my intention is very clear to the practice. Okay. And as a professional field, I should be.
I understand. This lady over there.
Okay, so I chose this because I was more like I was in like I wanted to see what I could do in this field. I like the subjects that were involved in this profession, and I always wanted to pursue law as a subject.
Okay. You.
To reform the justice system.
Okay. Great. Great. Any other interesting stories around the room? Anyone would like to share? Or if you don't want to share, that's also fine.
I think in corporate world, I also feel, that the knowledge of this legal, so, no one can at least match. So we should have the knowledge of the legal all sections and everything. So we should be also aware about all this. So it's a parallel thing that one should know as a knowledge.
Okay, okay. So, what I'm hearing is a mixture of idealism and practicality. Yeah, that's the sense I'm getting. And many times, when I speak to students, I am told my parents are lawyers, so I'm becoming a lawyer. Uh, I'm told it's inspiring, I can make a difference. Uh, some people say I like what I see in the movies. Yeah, that sometimes is something that people say, oh, I'm inspired by that. And many people say it's pain. You said it's a wonderful field, and it is at the moment one of the fields that is booming. So that's also fine. But I'll come to the main issue about careers in the law very shortly. But each of you has to know why you are doing law. Some people even do it as time pass, which means in our days we finished our BCom or BA or BSc, and then there were some gap years where you were not sure what you wanted to do. So LLB present. Yeah. That's also fine. There is nothing right or wrong in the world. But you have to know what will work with you. Each person has to introspect and see why they are doing what they are doing, whether it's law or any other field. Yeah. So I'm going to talk a little more about what motivates each of us. Yeah. And then let's talk about what motivates each of you. I'm going to talk general because this is the research that I have studied. And okay, when you say what motivates you, that's a very open-ended question. And motivations can change over the years. When you are young, it may be reason X. When you are a little older, it's reason Y. When you are even older, it's reason Z. And at my age, it may be a fifth reason. Yeah. So there is no one reason that remains. But generally, there are various motivating factors, some of which I listed out. So I'm going to talk to you about each of those motivating factors. And I'm then going to ask you one question at the end of it. So what motivates any person? Number one, money. You have to make your mark in life, and the mark is generally one of the ways that it's recognized, and it's an easy way of recognition, is money. How much money do you make? Of course, that's not the only thing. And if anyone thinks that money is the only motivator in life, they'll soon learn that it is not. The second very well-known reason why anyone takes up any profession or any career is recognition and exposure. You want to make a name for yourself. You want the world to recognize that I am someone who makes a difference. Yeah. The third is power. Some people like power for the sake of power. They can control people around them. Yeah. Then we go to the more idealistic sort of reasons. I can solve problems. It gives me a thrill. Standing in front of the court and arguing, for example, it gives me a high. You know, some of you may have done moot courts, and at the end of a moot court, there is a rush of adrenaline. It's a happy feeling, you know. People who don't want confrontation don't like it. So again, you have to look inwards and see. You don't have to like confrontation. It's not necessary that everyone has to become an arguing lawyer, and we are going to talk about what we can do. Okay, but it should be tailored to what you want to do. Yeah. Okay, so we talked about thrill and adventure. Many people say it gives my life a purpose. It gives my life a meaning. It's a passion for me. Okay. You are lucky if you have identified your passion so early in life. Normally, from a career perspective, it's very difficult to identify what you really want to do at the age you are. At least that's what happened with me, and I'm just telling you what I think. Some of you may have that knowledge or that desire, and that's excellent. Okay. Many times it's a question of tradition. Or people say, I want to join a good company, I am secure. Okay. I want to join a Tata, I want to join some good group, and then I'll have a job and I'll be secure and I don't have to worry. Okay. Then there are people who believe that I want to prove something in the world, as I said earlier. I can say one of the things that a lawyer has to do is to get work. And we'll touch about that a little later. But getting work. Someone may say, I'm good at negotiation. It's one part of it. I may not be good at litigation or confrontation, but I'm good at negotiation. Because I can negotiate, I can step back and negotiate objectively. Some people may say, no, I'm very good at research. I can draft very well because I understand concepts. And I draft very well because I love the research that I do. So, you know, there are many things that give you what the Japanese call ikigai. Ikigai is a state of being. It's being in a zone. Okay? It's being doing something that you love to do and you don't realize how much time has passed. I don't know which is the latest sort of book that is there, but I know this. My daughter, she's also a lawyer, she's in Singapore. She was doing her 12th grade or something. And just before her exams, the whole night she's stayed up. So we were all very thrilled. And wow, she's really studying hard, you know. So later on, we said, wow, you know, you are doing this, that, and the other. You're studying very hard. And he said, yeah. And she told Marjorie, my wife, yeah, I read the Harry Potter last night. So that's your ikigai. That's what you enjoy doing. Yeah, it can be anything. Uh, of course, when she went to National Law School in Bangalore and topped, and that's another issue. But you have to do what you like to do. Yeah. Uh, yeah, again, motivations. I'll just touch one, two more motivations and then I'm going to ask you the question that I want to use. Many people say, I want work-life balance. I want to work for 8 hours a day and I don't want to work anymore, and that's it. Some people say, I want independence. I want not to be in a job. I want to do what I want to do at my time. Okay, which is a variant of work-life balance. So many people want many things. So I'm going to ask you a question. What are your skills? And again, I'm going to ask random questions to random people. If you all want to add to that, please add. So the lady at the corner over there. Okay, I didn't know that. What's your name? I show you. Hi. So the person right in the right. What about this one?
I'm still finding out my skill.
Okay. No, but what's your what do you like to do? What is your what do you like?
Maybe a little bit of reading.
Eating?
Yeah, like philosophy.
Okay, philosophy. That's
Yeah, I'm starting like here and there, not much.
interesting. And the lady next to you?
Maybe I don't give up easily. I keep on trying till I achieve it. And also I like to explore our mythology, our ethics,
Interesting. I like that persistence, determination. That's
Thank you.
good.
Thank you.
That's good. And the third person?
So I don't have a particular hobby. I do many things like reading, and I have not yet identified my hobby or talent yet.
Okay. Okay. Anyone from that row wants to speak or we go on this side?
I like the creativity part of everything. So I like to draft the speech and then deliver it publicly or participate in debate and etc.
Very good. Very good. Anyone else wants to say anything? Behind, anyone else wants to say anything? We are going to go row wise. Okay. Anyone wants to say anything? Behind? If you all want to, if you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. Because I remember myself, I was one of those shrinking violets who hated to talk in public. Give it in some. Anyone wants to say anything? Only if you want to say. No? Sure.
I am very much good at my subject, that is finance. So I love to study the company's balance sheet. Wanted to create a cash flow, project cash flow. So that is my passion, and I'm enjoying doing that basically.
In fact, just talking about law and finance, it's very important for a commercial lawyer to know finance or to understand finance and to understand cash flow because that's very key to anything. And you know, when we were studying BCom, we had accounts as an option. Okay. And I didn't do accounts. Or I did only 1 year of accounts and then I shifted to actuarial science. Actuarial science was an option in those days. I don't know if it's there now or not. And I missed out on accounts. And then later on, I learned that I should have actually done accounts, even if I wanted to do law. Yeah. So anyway, I almost became a chartered accountant, right? So that's another story. Anyone in front?
Morning, sir. I like music, I like writing, and I like reading about Indian mythology.
Excellent. Excellent. That's good. Shall we, if there's no one here, then shall we move to this side, or you all can please speak if you all want to speak.
Good morning, sir. Jai sir. Sir, my skill is like I mostly try to study good spy stories and I work with raw and
Sorry, I didn't get.
mostly I try to read spy stories and I also work with raw and
Okay, excellent. I like that, spy stories, that was my forte in those.
yes, sir. I worked with Ajit Doval sir last.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Can you pass it? Just keep it close to you so everyone can hear.
Hello. Netika Srini, I'm an international kickboxer. I represent India. And just my hobbies, according to my parents, it is that you argue really well, so you can be in a litigation department.
And kickboxing and arguing goes very well. Anyone wants to say anything, please?
I would like to know about philosophies, mythologies, and one of my skills is that I love helping people. So I can hardly say no to anybody who comes to me for help.
Hello, sir. Good morning. I'm Ekta. I'm an animal activist, and my reason for doing law is bringing up for few laws for animal welfare because they face a lot of cruelty by humans, lot of cruelty. And also, I'm good at workout, so I'm planning to participate in weightlifting at national level.
Excellent.
Thank you, sir.
By the way, there is a lady by the name of Pinka Khattab who is very interested in ethical treatment for animals. If you want, I can connect you with.
Please, please, please. It would be very helpful for me. Thank you.
It was just an option. If anyone wants to speak or if anyone has gotten left behind uh, and would like to speak without the mic having come to them, please, this is the time. Or we'll go further.
I don't mind actually sharing.
Sure.
My feedback and baby.
Wow. That's lovely. That's lovely. So then you've got a candidate on whom you can try. Excellent. Excellent. No, so what again, I'm sure all of us are hearing that everyone has different motivations for doing whatever they like to do. Okay, and different motivations for doing law. Now, one of the things that you should ask yourself at the end of this is, what do I want from my future? Okay, because when you are 60 or 65, you will have more or less lived your life, your professional life at least, and you want to achieve or be at a place which you desire to be. Okay, so the point I'm trying to raise or talk about today is that if you aim for that, you'll probably reach there because life has a method of giving you what you want. So, the point that you raised, I can't say no to people. You'll have to learn to say no to people. Because there is only that much time in your life. You may not realize it's too early for you right now, but you'll realize later on in life that there is only so much time. And if I want to do something 100%, and law is something that you will have to do 100%, because they say law is a jealous mistress. Yeah, and it's very, very true. Because if you want to be successful at law or at anything else, you have to give it 100% of your time. Well, not 100% because you have to look after your family and your friends and stuff like that. But when you are doing what you are doing as a profession, give it your 100%. Okay. So you are talking about skills. Yeah, different people have different skills. Someone mentioned I'm good at public speaking. Yeah. And arguing, which is very good. Some people even like to meet people. Yeah. You like to meet friends. That in itself is a skill that is required in law. Okay, because that's how you get clients. I mentioned a little earlier, you have to get clients. So that can be utilized by each of you to get clients. Some people are just good at standing back and finding solutions for problems. So you can analyze a situation very well and give a solution, in which case you are good at giving advice. Yeah, you would be very, very good at doing that. And everyone also has weaknesses. Everyone has weaknesses, let's admit it. And there are things you don't like to do. So understand this. Weaknesses, say someone has a weakness and that they love to drink. Okay, every weekend they say I have to have at least my 2 or 3 pegs. At least. What is there in 2 or 3 pegs? Which is fine. At your end, it's fine. But if it continues later on in life, it's not. Okay, let's be very clear about that. Because most people who are successful and in any field, you will see that they will not be drinking that much. They all are social drinkers, all of us are social drinkers, but not beyond the point. So identify your weaknesses and say that, look, these are my weaknesses, and I'm not going to allow this to happen more than what I want it to happen. It's okay. It's good to have a buzz in your head when you're with friends or when you're seeing whatever, enjoying yourself with your friends, but not beyond that. Yeah, you don't want to end up drunk on the footpath. I'm just giving you examples. Yeah. So just keep this in mind. So one is your weaknesses. Second is things that you don't want to do. Things which are against your principles. Now, there may be some parts of the law which are against your principles. And you don't have to compromise your principles. Be clear about what your principles are. If you don't know what your principles are, look inwards and see whatever is accepted within your family and within yourself, more than even your family, within yourself. There are some things you may not like, which even your family may like, but that's okay. But identify that things that you don't want to do. Okay. And sometimes the law or the field you are in has an option for you to do that. Yeah. This is something which develops only over a period of time. No one can say that this, only when you are faced with a particular situation, you'll be able to recognize whether you like it or you don't like it, or whether it's against your principles or not. I am not advocating that you should be so laid back that if your boss tells you you have to do this, if you say it's against my principles to do it, you'll be sacked. Okay, let's be very clear about that also. So I'm not saying it beyond the point, but please identify within, if you are asked to do something that is skirting the law, okay, and there are many areas in law where you can skirt the law. And if that particular event you don't like to do, don't hesitate to speak up. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, when I started law, I didn't know what law I wanted to do or to specialize in. In fact, as I mentioned a little earlier, I almost signed my articles, but then circumstances intervened and I did law. So I didn't know what I was going to do. So how did I learn? How did I learn what I liked and what I disliked in the law? You know, you all are from the first year, second year, third year, yeah, more or less. You try it out. You are at a stage in your life where you can try out while you are studying. Okay, most of you. How did I do that? Or how should you do that? By doing internships, by doing moves. Yeah, go to different places, check things out. There may be some things you like at certain places. Make a list of what you like, what you don't like. Yeah, and then put those filters within yourself. Is my life fair, or is it just stupid, a stupid dislike? Or is it something that is fundamental? Yeah, think about it. So as I mentioned a little earlier, again, what do you want to be when you are 60, 65? Do you want to be a judge? Do you want to be a partner in a firm? Do you want to be a professor? Do you want to be a principal? Do you want to be a senior counsel? Once you are more or less clear what you want to do, then work backwards and see what are the steps you need to do to reach there. What is your aim? You know, a lot of people talk about mythology, or that they like mythology, etc. You've seen the Mahabharata. What did Arjun do? When he went for the Swayamvar and he had to aim at the fish, he didn't see the fish, he saw the eye of the fish. Yeah. So be clear about what you want, and you will be able to reach there. So think, do I want to be the principal of a law college? Then work backwards. How can I become the principal of a law college? And go on that path. Do I want to become a partner of a firm? Work on that part. Do I want to become a senior counsel? Work on that part. Right now, experiment. But by the time you finish your law, you should be clear as to what you want. This is the time when you can make decisions or evolve this. Okay, what I want. Okay. So now we come to the main part of what you can do, which is why you are here. And I'm sure most of you know this. And I'm sure you'll be able to add to even what I'm saying. And please feel free to add. Okay? So, what are your career choices? We all know it's either lit or non-lit. Yeah. Litigation is civil or criminal, and non-lit is everything else. And in civil litigation, we have arbitrations, mediations, or matters in various fora. Whether it's your NCLT or the High Court or the City Civil Court or whichever court you want to practice. So how do you decide that? No. Then I'll give you all the options and then we'll come to again how do you decide that, which I've already dealt with part. Then you have an option of taking up a job in a company. It's called going in-house. I'm sure you're aware of that. Or you take up a job in a firm where you're an associate initially and then work your way upwards in that firm. Or you want to be an independent practitioner. Yeah, you want to be a counsel in the courts. Yeah. Then, of course, by type of law, and the amount of variety now available for you to do is just mind-boggling. So it's like going to a restaurant and having, a 64-course meal in front of you, and you're only one person, and you don't know what to eat. So these are just some of the options. I'm sure if you mind the next, you will find many more options. But I'm just going to give you a brief background of them. Intellectual property rights, for example. Within intellectual property rights, you have trademarks, you have patents, you have litigation, you have non-litigation, you have agreements that you can do, etc., etc. Yeah. Then you have tax law. Now, and I'll talk about D.M. Harish. So, Mr. D.M. Harish and everyone in the firm, they started off practicing basically tax law, and then they expanded into real estate, advisory, litigation, etc. So this in itself, both tax law. There's a very good counsel by the name of Percy Pardiwala. He's in the olden days there was Mr. Soli Dastu, who was first was Mr. Palkewala, then came Soli Dastu, and now Percy Pardiwala. All of them are excellent at analysis of the law, of the tax law, and it's just reading the law and applying the case law that has evolved over the years. But you have to be very, very particular and up to date about any part of the law in which you are practicing. Yeah. So tax law, then corporate law, where I see a lot of faces light up because corporate law is the in thing right now. Yeah. here. Sorry, it's the training thing, yeah, yeah. Then there is also another part of the law, which is called contract drafting and review. So your client typically says, I want to enter into a contract with, say, I'm just giving you a, like, the, right now we have this whole construction going on of the road. What's it called? Which road is it? Coastal road, yeah. So you see all the L&T signs over there, but they have subcontracted parts of it to various people. Yeah. So all those subcontracts are often subject matter of negotiation. Yeah. So that's called contract drafting and review, where you advise people, no, this clause is not good, this clause is good, etc., etc. Then, of course, you have commercial litigations, arbitrations, mediations. Then there is one very good sub part of the law, which is not very popular, which is labor law. And in the times when trade unions were very active in the 70s and 80s, I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Datta Samant. Yes. He's the guy who sort of put the textile mills of Bombay into a big problem by going on by the workers going on strike. He was a labor lawyer, late labor leader. And he was justified probably in retrospect in doing what he did. But that's how, instead of having the mills in Bombay, the whole of Lower Parel, you see these huge towers. Actually, those were mill lands. The mills were nationalized, and then the lands were auctioned off. And that's how these big towers came up. Yeah. So just see how one part of social activism leads to the change of a city, and how lawyers can help in that. Yeah. Just identify. First came labor law, strikes, etc. Then came nationalization, which led to a lot of litigation, constitutional law litigation, writ petitions as to whether the Nationalization Act was valid, invalid, etc., etc. Then came the stealing of the lands by NTC. So again, contracts, real estate law, etc. So there is a whole, and now of course the buildings coming up and delays in construction of buildings and RERA and litigation, etc., etc. So there's a whole host of things you can be doing as lawyers. Analyze any situation and break it down into the legal parts. Okay. So that was labor law. Then of course, some people like family law. They like counseling. They like the divorce part of it. Things like that. That's also fine. Yeah. Then, as I mentioned, constitutional law. It's a very important part of the law because that defines your basic rights as a citizen. And anyone who wants to make a big difference in law, that's your focus if you like litigation. Then, of course, the administrative law, which is a subset of employment law. And there is one more law, tech law. Yeah. So whether it's Facebook or Google or Twitter or FTX or any of these things, lawyers working within that industry have to understand the law governing that area. Then, of course, there is shipping law, maritime law. which is again a very specialized law. And there are people just doing maritime law. I don't know, you may have heard, there's a judge in the Bombay High Court who used to do only maritime law, Justice Sri Ram. Any of you know of him? Yeah, sorry. You know. So he was a maritime lawyer. Yeah. There are so many varieties and things as to what you can do. And you may not want to do any of these. You may want to say, you know, this is my basic LLB degree from Bombay, and I want to do my LLM. I want to go abroad. I want a year of chilling. That's also cool. Yeah. And it's a great thing to do because you realize what the world is like. And of course, one thing which you can do here, and those who like to study, I would highly recommend, is your solicitor's exam. Have you heard of the solicitor's exam? Yeah, it's a optional, purely optional exam that you do, but it's a very rigorous exam. And how would I say? It's recognized that a solicitor has a wider knowledge of the law than just someone who has done this LLP or LLM. So it's a tough thing. It's an internship for 2 years, followed by the exam. And if anyone is in that mode of studying, then I would highly recommend. It's a cost-effective method of study. You don't have to spend 50, 60, 70 lakhs abroad if you don't want to for it, because it takes costs almost like for a year of study abroad. Yeah. Now I come to probably, this is on what you can do, and we'll talk in a bit about towards the end about what you may have to learn while doing what you're doing. But now I come to one of the most important parts of my job. It's 5 minutes, but it's important. Ethics. Ethics. I just want to emphasize this very, very significant. As a lawyer, you are representing a client. Yeah. And this is something that I have seen happening time and again. You have virtually a power of attorney in your favor while you are representing a client. A client reposes faith in you. Okay? And you can never sell the client short. You should never, 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 never betray a client. There are humongous opportunities as a lawyer to do this. But there are things you should never do, and this is one of them. This is a very, very, very important thing. Do not do anything that adversely affects your client. At the same time, if the client tells you to do something wrong, maintain your objectivity. Don't do anything illegal or unethical for your client. Okay, this is very important. Don't do anything against him, but don't do anything unethical or illegal for him, because you get opportunities, or I would say opportunities, but you get many situations arise when you can do that. Okay, and if you are arguing in front of the judge and you come across a case law, for example, which is against your client, it's not that you have to point it out to the judge upfront, but you should be aware of it. And remember, if you don't point it out to the judge upfront, your credibility in front of that judge will be lost. Because the other side is going to point it out. Yeah. And if you want to build credibility, and this entire profession is about building credibility, people have to be able to trust you that what you are saying is fair and correct. And I cannot tell you how important that credibility is to build your career. Each of us have weaknesses, as I mentioned earlier. Don't let this weakness ever come and be an obstruction for you in your career, because I'm telling you this, you will earn your reputation and it will come up after 10 years. But in 2 minutes, you will lose your reputation if you do something unethical or illegal. And then no one will trust you. Yeah. In fact, this is so important that it can be a separate topic for discussion by someone else. But ethics is crucial in a in a legal profession when you are representing someone.
Real world is different.
Sorry,
Real world nowadays is little bit different.
in
Real world outside, I mean, lawyers ethical practices.
that's what always people say. Real world, you cannot follow this. Yeah. But that's a slippery slope. Because once you say that, okay, I'm making an exception for Mr. X, then Mr. Y will come to know and he will say, you made an exception for Mr. X. So why don't you make an exception for me? And then you will be known as that lawyer who makes exceptions. You want to be known, there are many lawyers who do that. But are they reputed? You ask yourself that if your object is only making money, you will make money for a little while, but you will be discredited. If you don't mind that, that's your fault. As I said, you have to look at it internally, what you want from your life. Yeah. But from a person who has last 42 years I've been, and I can tell you this, it's just not worth it because people will not believe what you are saying. Okay. I agree, it can be done, but when I'm talking to students and when I'm talking to people who are young and who I think are here to listen and to be influenced. Yeah, because today I'm in a position where I think by talking today, I'll be able to influence your careers a little bit. Yeah, hopefully. The point is that it's really important to be ethical. And it's not only ethical in law, even in your field. If you certify false accounts, okay, you are ruined. You can get away maybe once. Yeah. The second time you do it, people know that you are like that. Yeah, first time maybe a mistake, a judgment error. Second time, yes, I are. Everyone knows the regulations that people hold. Yeah. And I do hope that you do not fall in that second category. Please, this is very important. Right? So I'm going to deal with 2 or 3 here. Okay. I'm just going to deal with 2 or 3 points. One is when you step out into the world, you will need to know how to deal with clients. Okay. This is again a subject where there are lots of gray areas. How to deal with them, how to inspire confidence in them, how to tell them the truth, how to hold their hands. There's a lot of counseling involved in this. It's almost psychology more than just the law. Okay. Then dealing with people in your office and knowing what the office culture is. Yeah. Whichever office you join, please join someone where you feel comfortable. Don't join some just a big name because it can be a toxic work culture. Decide what you like. How to deal with colleagues in your profession, whether seniors or juniors. Then dealing with your opponent lawyers, dealing with the court. If you are a counsel, then dealing with the solicitor. Or if you are a solicitor, dealing with other solicitors. Dealing with how to get a partnership in a firm. And then when you have people working with you, how to make sure that you get the best results without alienating them and building a team. These are all management issues that come in as you grow up. Yeah. So I'm just leaving you with these thoughts so that you know what you will be facing, because at different phases in your life, you will face different challenges. Yeah, life is never going to be without a challenge. You can't say, yeah, once you are born, from the moment you are born till the moment you die, life will be full of challenges. Please understand that. So, but it's a great life, and you can make it happen. Sorry, it's a great life, and you can make it happen the way you want to make it happen. So please get in charge of your lives. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your words of wisdom. Now I would like to open the floor for any questions, please.
Sir, I have a question. Sir, I'm in third semester, right? And whatever little that I know about law, what I've understood is that law is always defined of technology. Now, to give you a perspective, when we talk about travel as an industry, there are so many apps which are Take My Trip, Who I Agree, and so on. When we talk about food industry, there are Swiggy and Zomato. When we talk about medicines or doctors' price, there is Practo, Netmeds, and so on. But when we talk about lawyers, okay, there is nothing where people, if they want to seek some legal advice, whom they should go for. Obviously, there can be a lawyer just around the corner where they can go walk up to this lawyer and then they can get information. But whether this lawyer or advocate is the right advocate or not, that's a bigger question. So, again, when we talk about technology, there can be good technological aspects even in law when it comes to B2B. But when it comes to B2C, there is nothing much. So, can there be a perspective where we can develop an app where we can aggregate lawyers of different professions, of different categories that you have just mentioned, and where customers can seek in through their legal advice by paying fees and getting directly connected? And is there a space for such kind of?
So, look, this is a very important question. There are really, I just stand up and talk. So, it's a very interesting question. There are two parts to the question. One is the one that you asked about, which is that can be great lawyers, for example. And I think there are already some, if I Google, there is some, good lawyers by, if you just press that, I'm sure you'll find, I don't know how accurate it is, but it's there. Okay, and it's very difficult to analyze a good lawyer, bad lawyer, etc. Because it depends on the facts of your case, and it depends on suppose the lawyer has got out of the bed on the left hand side or the right hand side of the day, what's his mood, etc., etc. So it's a very subjective way of looking at it. But I do think that there is a lot of scope for standardizing law, say for example, agreements. You know, when we were young, we had these whole precedent files. Okay, now you don't need precedent files because it's all available on the net. So I'm sure that there are things that you can do uh, to make it more efficient. And I'm pretty sure, and I'm sure there is a scope or the opportunity there that a tech lawyer or a person who becomes a tech entrepreneur in the law. That's what you're talking about. You know, and this applies not only to you but to anyone. If anyone wants to talk to me one-on-one, we can surely discuss. Who's questions will get in touch with my office and we'll fix us. Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to add, the brand is, I think in the profession, one should not market ourselves or not, should not allow to give any advertisement or something like that. Right? If I got this clear.
Yes.
So that is why this application base is ruled out, because in our profession, legal profession, one should not market ourselves. Like chartered accountant, they cannot do the market, advertising them.
Yeah. So you are right about it, that advocates cannot market themselves, they cannot advertise. But having a platform where you can have aggregate, say, for example, if you go to a lawyer and that lawyer can be a very good lawyer, but that person is out of your budget, how do you seek advice from this? So at least if we have some platform where there can be information, there can be filters, where you can choose the filter, you can seek advice of a person where whatever the lawyer budget suits to your budget, and then you can get information. So this is just an information giving platform. This is nothing to advertise. So that's what my perspective is. That's what I wanted to seek information.
There are lots of issues in what you're saying, but we'll talk about it. Anyone else? Any other questions?
Sir, as we know, there are many issues between states. For example, now there is a border issue going on between the state of Maharashtra and state of Karnataka. There are many political parties in our country, and they often have issues with each other, and they seek help of people and the like. So, what kind of lawyer exactly deals with the state, if the issues between states and the political parties?
So this falls within the jurisdiction of constitutional law. And if you read parts of the constitution, Article 245, if I'm not wrong, or somewhere there in the 200s, that deals with the relationships related to elections, that is political parties, the recognition of political parties. And there is one special chapter, now I don't remember which chapter, which deals with interstate disputes and how to resolve them. So, but this is all constitution.
So now regarding bureaucracy, for the bureaucrats of India. So as like for if we want to go into judicial services or litigation, we have to particularly start by having an internships in that particular field. But when bureaucracy comes, particularly between international countries and such, there are little to none internships as such. So how does one take an entry in bureaucracy?
So, you can join the Indian Administrative Service or the Indian Foreign Service. And there are exams, central exams, just like you have for law, you have the CLAT, right? For the services, you have central government exams for the IFS, the IAS.
So how exceptional do you even be if you want to join a top tier companies like Sharp? And if you don't get jobs or you don't get hired by the companies, the top tier like AZ, so how should we back ourselves in that situation?
How should you?
Back ourselves and manage ourselves in that situation.
See, the question is how to get a good internship.
No, the job. Internship is fine, sir.
Okay, no, the way to do it
Ah.
is through an internship. See, what people like is for you to, you will have to prove yourself in this, in the profession you are joining. Honestly, however good your parents may be, or whatever name you have, it doesn't matter. You have to, this is a meritocracy. And how is a meritocracy determined? By actual work. So the way to do it probably is through an internship. Join a good firm for your internship and prove yourself over there. And once the group or the team you are working with is comfortable with you and you have finished your LLB or whichever qualification you are aspiring to do, they'll be happy to absorb you. That's the best way to do it. Otherwise, there are lots of lawyers in the world. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you. How do you become a maritime lawyer? So there are some chambers. Okay. There's one, Mr. Venkateshwar, he's passed away. Yeah, but Venki was a, and his son is running that chamber, so you should speak to him. Then there was a gentleman by the name of George Bello. Again, very good lawyer, and he also passed away, but his chambers are still there, so there are people who are there in his chambers. Or go to Justice Sriram and ask him this question. Yeah, he will be the right person. Anyone in that field would be the right person to guide you. I'm not the right person to guide you on this question.
Sir, same question with respect to constitution.
So on constitutional law, my advice would be that join a senior counsel. Someone who is doing constitutional law as a career. I mean, just off the top of my head, I would say Navroz Sirva's chain. Yeah, because he is a hardcore constitutional law lawyer. There are others also who are doing constitutional law, but this is just the first thing that came to my head. And that's no disrespect to any of the others.
When you complete law practice,
Can you talk a little loud?
when you complete your LLB, and you are practicing in India, and let's say you are you are doing something in Singapore, you are done in Singapore. So how you practice there in the Singapore course? You have to appear some exams.
Yeah, so different jurisdictions have different qualifications, requirements. So I'll give you the answer to your question and then I'll give you the generic answer. I became a solicitor from Singapore, I'm a non-practicing member of the Singapore Law Society. So I went there because I was doing an arbitration test. Okay. And it just was convenient because I wanted to access the library and that was why I became. I don't think, and in those days, you could not practice in the courts in Singapore, but now I think they've relaxed the rule in Singapore. I also became a solicitor from the UK because it was convenient and we had friends there, so I could easily do that. But it's good to be exposed to other systems because you get a different perspective. Yeah. I don't think, and you'll have to look at, for example, the US is very particular that if you want to practice there, you have to pass there. Each state has a different exam. So if you are qualified in New York, you cannot practice in California, for example. Things like that. So there are different rules for different things. So how can one develop a specialization in international arbitration? Can you put it like that? Very good question. The way you can do it is getting experience within Indian arbitrations first, and then probably joining a chamber that does international arbitrations. Yeah. So again, from the top of my head, and just make names, but no disrespect to anyone's names who I do not know. Dharaj Kambata, okay, he does a lot of international arbitration. I think maybe even Sharan does, Hariani, who is, Harish's son. So again, any good chamber you should probably join, and then make sure you will have to prove yourself. It's not just your cakewalk here, join here the whole time. You have to prove yourself. You have to dedicate yourself 100%, 1000% to be able to. That it's a thing that the senior counsel, if he has got confidence in you, will invite you to join one of those arbitrations. That's the best and the easiest way to do it. And that's the easiest way. There are many, many tougher ways which are impractical. Okay, so I'm giving you the practical.
So, sir, what would be the ideal time to do an internship at one specific firm or a company?
Third year onwards, probably. Third year onwards. In the first 2 years, you are just chill. Don't bother about it. Sorry, I'm saying. Both. I'll just give you some examples. As I mentioned earlier, my daughter was in National Law School. And when she joined there, I said, now you're going to one of the best schools. So I have one condition. Their passing was something like 50% over there. So I said, don't get less than 55%. That's my one condition. Second condition, don't get more than 60%. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter. Identify what matters and then go for it. Right? Now, my son is a counsel in the High Court. Yeah, he's in the chambers of most of our doctors. So, again, very practical. What mattered was the 12th standard. 10th standard didn't matter. What matters is the 12th standard and then getting into a good firm or good chambers. Yeah. So he's worked with a whole host of firms, right from JSA to, the whole names they're just too many names. And he worked in the High Court with Shabak's veggies that I think for a little while. And I think you had Gautam Patel coming and talking some time ago. Yeah. So he was with, Gautam was teaching in GS at that time. And he was one of the students who was pretty active in that class. So the idea is for you all to get to know people. Yeah. To get to know what you like, what you don't like. That's the key at your stage in life. So I don't know if I've answered your question, but that's the yes. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will now call upon Nana to propose the vote of thanks. On behalf of the Hariani School of Law, I would like to thank Senior Solicitor Mr. Ameet Hariani for taking out time and giving us a wonderful talk on career insights in legal profession. It was enriching to hear about how one can choose to like and dislike in the field of law. They can analyze whether what they want to like and whether they don't want to like in the field of law. Special thanks to the technical team for their support in conducting this event. I request everyone to stand up for the national anthem.
In the name of